maybe there's a certain way that you think awakening has to look, but that is just another lie fed to you by society. Absolutely no one can tell you what it will be like because it is beyond words and beyond understanding, beyond the known, beyond concepts. There can only be pointing to this. Many times we are told that you have to go through a lot of suffering or a dark night of the soul. And I mean, anything can arise within this. But none of it means that you have to experience that at all. But I think because we are so conditioned to believe that we have to go through that, it works out. I guess maybe the mind works it out in a way in which you actually do go through something like that. But it definitely does not need to occur. There's no way that, the whole unraveling of the sense of a separate self, the whole unraveling of that sense of me, the illusion, there's no way that that has to look like. Because ultimately, it is really a non-happening, for lack of better words. And the you that believes in awakening, that sense is the one that completely falls away and is seen to have been illusory. So it is awakening for no one. And in the experience here, the unraveling was so dramatic and so crazy that it just really unhinged it unhinged the ideas around what reality is, and also, yeah, just the beliefs around what reality is completely just fell apart. At the same time, the solidity of things just gradually lost their solidity. So belief in that being a solid, separate, label-able thing fell apart as well. So with that, all of the belief in what is being seen is knowable, can be defined, is solid, is separate, all of that crumbles. And so more and more you start to really question the roles that you have to fulfill, or I guess the identities that you had for yourself, as a daughter, as a partner, a friend, all of that. You have to be a certain way in these types of relationships. Things have to appear a certain way. You have to behave, in this rigid, prescribed way. But all of that really just starts to fall apart. You don't have the same, I guess, will. I mean, there is no free will, but that same sort of sense of I can do that. I can be that person, I can act in that way, I can compromise or keep this sort of dynamic going. Like all of that just starts to fall apart because the body just can't do that anymore. It just, you really feel that. You feel like that sort of tension, pressure, overwhelm of having to behave in that way, continue to act in ways that are really not in line with you, with your body. It just becomes less important to continue in that way, continue to be in certain relationships because you see at what cost it is, and you see that that's not worth it. The stories that you may have had around having these kinds of relationships, those also fall apart, or at least they start to loosen. And so it isn't necessary to uphold that, to continue to believe and play the same roles. So it became more apparent for me recently when I decided to be in a relationship that had been long distance and have it be in person. It just became clear how body could no longer really bring itself to just like compromise in a way that led to me being fully exhausted. And yeah, there was just so much overwhelm and stress that was created. And it was just like, for what? There's just no need for any of that. And it was basically because of, beliefs that a relationship has to look a certain way, that in a relationship, certain things need to happen. When in reality, all of these things are completely made up. Why would anyone follow like what other people have done because they were conditioned as well in a relationship? Like, you don't have to behave any certain way. And yet here we are thinking, yes, you have to do this, this, and this. You must, it's just ridiculous. Yeah, there's absolutely no way that a relationship has to look like. And for me, like, it's just obvious and clear that, allowing for how things naturally develop, just giving ease and time just seems, feels right. But I guess like in the past, I would have probably tried to force the body to just, yeah, be okay with going against that natural flow. But now it's just like there's no desire to, there's also no ability to. And it just feels right, There's also no ultimate need for things to continue that way just to be in a relationship. But it's so crazy, just the amount of insanity that we pick up that is ingrained in us in all aspects of life, and how we behave, what we think we have to be. And it's just, it's really damaging for the body, because ultimately that just leads to breaking down, not being able to uphold that, feeling miserable. getting sick, because it's so sort of antagonistic to what life is, which is so free, boundless, without constraints, without labels, without restrictions. And all of humanity is just trying to box everything up, like label everything digestible, consumable. And so it makes sense that you really believe that things have to be that way. But yeah, I mean, in the unraveling of, the belief in all of that, none of that can really fly anymore. And I think, due to that, many relationships can fall away. But I just wanted to share this because, I remember I had so many beliefs around awakening, enlightenment, what it should look like, what I would go through. But all of that is just for the me. That's all made up. None of it is real. There's no saying what will be seemingly experienced in this unraveling. There's no saying what it will look like. There's no way to fully even describe any of this anyway. And there's no way that it has to look like. And also, there's nothing that needs to happen. So, like, yeah, there's absolutely nothing that needs to happen at all. Like, this is already it. Like, every single, now, there is no now, but, what I'm getting at is this is already it. There is already no you. So, there's already no separate self. There's nothing separate. Like, all of that story isn't real. So this message is awesome because it's not for you, because you don't exist. This is already it. You were never separate. That sense that was separate was illusory, was an illusion. You never did anything. And this might sound scary. It might sound hilarious. It might be immensely freeing, which it ultimately is. Because you were always innocent. You never did anything. All of this was life happening. What could be more loving, more compassionate than that? This has always been unconditionally free. Nothing was ever separate. There's nothing to do, and doing still happens. And it doesn't take you closer or further away to already this. So there's nothing bad that you could do. There's absolutely nothing good. It's already the case.